Welcome back to another episode of Harmonious at Lunch, the show that fuels your business success. I'm Brandon Gano, your host and guide through the world of harmonious business growth. Today, we're unlocking powerful strategies with industry experts to help your business thrive. If you're a business owner, entrepreneur, or executive, you are in the right place. Join me and our incredible guests today on the journey to clarity, growth, and success. It is time to revolutionize your approach to business. Let's dive in with another episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Welcome back into some more bite-sized business advice. In today's episode, we got a big claim. Some would say a massive claim, but that's okay. We're going to address it. How to build a 7-figure business in 2 years. Here's the big part. Guaranteed. I'm excited to dive in with my guest today, Martin Salama, and we're going to go over what it looks like to build a 7-figure business in 2 years or less. And yes, he has done this multiple times with his clients. So Martin, welcome to the show and thank you for being here.
Hey, Brandon, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be with you.
That's a big claim, Martin. We're talking about 7 figures in 2 years. Most people don't see 7 figures in 15 or 20 years. As a matter of fact, I don't know the exact number, but most small businesses, it's somewhere around 90 to 92% never cross the 7-figure mark. And you're saying you can guarantee people get there in 2 years. So give me a sense of what you do.
So you said it's a big claim. You know what I say? Go big or go home.
Amen, brother. I love it. That's what this podcast is about. We want to help people get over that sticking point in their business. And I know you work a lot with coaches, aspiring coaches. The principles you're going to talk about today definitely apply to small business owners, entrepreneurs, business in general. Business is 100%, business.
100%. So, and I do work with mostly coaches, but as well, I do work with entrepreneurs. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. I didn't know that word really existed until about 20 years ago. Before that, I was a businessman. Now I'm an entrepreneur. So I get it.
Right.
But so I'm excited about this program that I've put together.
Yeah, I'm excited too to hear about it, but I kind of want to take a step backwards. I mean, where did you first design this idea for helping people reach the 7-figure mark in under 2 years? Where'd that come from?
Yeah, well, let me just go a little bit before that. In 2008, when the world fell apart, I lost everything. Okay. And I was a victim of it. I won't go into the details of it, but I was at zero and I had to rebuild myself. And it took me a year just to get out of the depression. The personal, which was, I look back now, was a situational depression of losing everything and having to rebuild. And when I got out of that, I was like, okay, what do I want to do? And I decided to become a coach. And as I got into coaching, I was loving it, but I was like, there's got to be a way to make more money. And there's guys all over the internet and all over. You get these emails. We can help you do it. We can help you put your program together and all that. And they'd say, it's a done for you program. It's a done with you program. And you know what, Brandon, I found out most of them are done to you programs, right? Where they promise you everything, but they don't tell you everything right up at front. So when you get, and me, I'm a victim of shiny object syndrome. Oh, I got to have that. Oh, this is going to work. This is going to be the one. Right. But then when you get into the depth of it, you realize either I can't do this, I don't know how to do this, or they're not giving me the help that I need to make it work. One of those like, okay, go learn how to do, go do Facebook ads. I don't know how to do Facebook ads. I don't even know what to do with it. Split test. What the hell does that mean? All these words being thrown at the time, 50-something-year-old man, like, oh yeah, of course, I know exactly what you mean. So most of them, I basically didn't do as well as I'd hoped and made all the money I thought I was going to make. And I could blame them. I could blame me, whatever. But I said, you know what? I need to build a better mousetrap. I don't really want to call it a mousetrap, but that's the saying out there. I want to build a better model. Okay. So I said, how can I do this? And I thought about it and I go, here's the thing. If I can show the people that I'm with them all along the way, that's the game changer. But how can I do that? Saying they can come to meetings, I do one-on-one coaching in a group setting. Why? Because the people that are there, if they're not the ones being spotlighted at that moment, they may hear something from the one being spotlighted. I don't like to use hot seat, right? Say that they asked a question that might affect them. And they may come up with an answer that I might not have thought of that could make it better for everybody, right? So I do that 3 times a month at least. The 4th week of the month, I like to say, is vacation time, because that's what we want. We want to work 3 weeks a month and enjoy it 1 week a month. So that's a big part of it. And knowing that they have all the software they need, all the things they need is also big. And one of the things is it's easy to get somebody to six figures in coaching or in any business if they have the right system. But how do you get them beyond six figures? You got to teach them mindset. So I take what I've learned the last 10, 12 years, and I wrote a book a year ago called Warrior to Warrior, how to shift your mindset from lack to abundance, basically. Right? So that's part two. But how do you go from seven figures and beyond? You've got to be scalable. You've got to recognize what's your best talent, and you do that and find the other people to do the other things. You know, there's a great book, which I know you know. It's called Who Not How by a gentleman named Dan Sullivan. Right? And basically he says, when you wake up in the morning and you say, how am I going to do this? You're asking the wrong question. The question should be, who's going to do this for me? Right? So you build yourself to be scalable. You have system, mindset, and scalability. So those are the things you get being in my program. But here, and I said, this is great, but it's still missing something. And then I realized what it is that so many of these other programs, they ask me for all the money up front. And then when things weren't happening, they're like, well, that's up to you. Go watch the videos, go read this thing, go do that. And that wasn't enough. It wasn't good enough. So what I realized is, how about if I say that 87.5% of the investment doesn't happen until you get results? Because I'd rather coach you on results than on information. And I think most people would rather be coached on results. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. This whole information business infopreneur garbage is just, it's just that it's garbage. And I think there's information is free. Let's just lay that foundation, right? I mean, anything we talk about, anything you talk about to your clients, you can Google it. It's the package and the person delivering it that is unique, but I don't think you should have to pay for information. I think people want results. And I love your methodology. And that's why let me just say this to the audience. I would never have anyone on the show who is just going to come here and sell a course. I really want to see what you do with people, but I'm so glad you explained that, because I also, even if you're listening, you never work with Martin, that's totally okay. Martin, I'm sorry to say that. If you never work with me, that's totally okay too. I want you to take this mindset into everything you do and say, if I'm going to pay somebody money, are they guaranteeing me results, or are they selling me, excuse me, a dream, a hope, a promise, whatever that is? Please don't pay those people. So Martin, thank you for that model. And I'm also excited now to dive in. So where do you start with people? What is step one, whether it's an existing business who's at a sticking point or someone who's brand new but wants to go into business? Where do you start with people knowing that in 2 years they need to be at seven figures or beyond?
Well, we first got to start is build a roadmap, right? Where are we now? What are you doing now? And where do you want to be in 2 years from now? Okay. Because without a roadmap, it's like getting into the car without Waze and without any maps that you could paper maps these days and say, okay, drive cross country. Instead of it'll take, you could get cross country, but it will take you maybe 3 or 4 times the time that it would if you had a roadmap. So build a roadmap where you are now and where you want to be. And what does that do? Besides giving you that, we go deeper. What's holding you back now? Where do you want to be more accountable? What does it look like 2 years from now? What's, people talk about it all the time. You got to have the why. The how doesn't matter if you don't have the why, right? So we build that first. Then we say, okay, great. Now that we've got this, let's build it up and say, okay, who is your right fit client? Who's your avatar, right? You've heard that word over and over again. It's the same thing. Now, there's a right fit audience and a right fit client, right? So the right fit audience could be all the coaches in the world. The right fit client is a specific type of coach, which is good. You could go for both of them. But if you're honing in, niching into that right fit client, it'll help them and it'll help you. So now that we have that, you know who your right fit client is. But how are you going to present yourself to the world? You got to have an elevator pitch, but it can't be, oh, blah, 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 blah. I'm a coach. As soon as you say that, people are like turned off. I remember 12 years ago when I became a coach, somebody said, for what team? That's what it was like. So it's too general. So now there's a woman who's come up I love giving credit where credit is due. Her name is Jane M. Powers, and she created something called an intromercial. It's a commercial that you do of yourself, even if you're standing on a stage. You're a commercial. You're selling yourself, and you're introducing yourself. So intromercial, and within 15 and 30 seconds, you start off by explaining to them who your target audience is, so you could eliminate the people who are not for you. You want to qualify and disqualify as you're going along. How about if I just take a quick second? I didn't think of this before, but I can find my infomercial and say it real quick.
I was going to say that would be the absolute perfect example. And while you're finding that, I just want to point out that so we typically consult with 7-figure businesses, 1 to 5 million, who are at that sticking point. And everything you're talking about with the roadmap, we use the term navigation, which is funny that you use the word roadmap because it's the same thing. And those businesses typically don't have that stuff on paper. They don't have it lined out, and they don't even know who their ideal client is. So if you're listening to this episode and you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I've heard that all before. Did you do it? Because
right.
I'm sure you probably didn't.
And I'm curious, how many of them have a mission statement and a vision statement?
Well, that's the first thing we do when we start working with people. And if they have it, it's let me go find it. I know I wrote it 1 year ago or something like that. It's no, that's not going to do it.
Right. So I'm not going to be looking straight at the screen because I'm going to read it off the thing so I get it exactly right. So coaches hired me to bring order from chaos and empower them to embrace their leadership role as visionaries in their field and stop being the bottleneck to their success, because they're tired of the stress of wearing all the hats, constantly putting out fires, and dealing with inconsistent cash flow. So I help them develop a scalable, high-ticket program, enroll new clients with ease, and grow exponentially. Bottom line, I help them build a 7-figure business within 2 years or less, guaranteed. Right? So you see, it's hitting all the points, the pain points and the benefits, and it's addressing who I want to address. And the bottom line, this is what I do.
Yeah. Right. No, I think that's great. I mean, you could very clearly hear who would resonate with that. What are the pains that people are currently feeling, or foresee themselves feeling in their business? What do they want? That shiny object in the future, and then what you do. I think that's super clear to deliver something like that. How long does it take you to help people create that?
Well, so this is great. You're going to love this. So what I do is once somebody decides they want in my program, we have a launch call where we go through the roadmap, and then we start with this infomercial. Then we work on what are the outcomes they want for their clients at the end of the day. Well, what do the clients want? What are the outcomes that their clients want? And then we put together a blueprint. And how about if I tell you that entire call from starting with the roadmap to ending with the blueprint, I can do in less than 2 hours.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, because we've built, thank you to AI, we've built ChatGPT, proprietary ones that have the information that I'm looking for built into the prompts. So when I ask the questions, it pops it out. And then we go over it. And of course, we make changes because, guys, I want you to all hear this clearly. AI is not a replacement. It's a tool to help you grow. You got to take it and put it in your own words after that and massage it to be right.
Yeah, that's absolutely. I fully agree with that. So we have like 7 minutes left of this episode and 7 more figures to build in our business. So that's a great foundation, a great place to start. But how do you go from there to 7 figures? What's that path look like? I'm sure it's unique to every business, but
absolutely,
what are sort of the principles and fundamentals that you're hitting on along the way?
Imagine after 2 hours, we've got this down pat, and I go, okay, now I want you to go out and validate it. And that doesn't mean go out and doing the split testing and the ads and all that. I'd rather you go out and find an audience that's your target audience, your right fit client, and tell them, I'm writing an article, and write the article, by the way. And in the article, I want to see how coaches who are struggling to get to 7 figures or whatever it is that you want to call your program, I want to go through what my program, I want to write an article, and we give them exactly the words, and then we write it for them. We help them write it for their audience and go out to LinkedIn messaging, whether you know the people or not, Facebook messaging and stuff like that, and have them have a 15, 20-minute conversation where you go through your program and you ask 10 or 11 questions. And in the 10 or 11 questions are a few that are keyed to say, that your program is validated. Right? Now you did this. You've got the basis. You've got people, and you tell them straight out, this is not a sales call. Even if you want to buy what I'm selling, what I'm talking about today, I'm not selling it to you today. Number one, you stay in your integrity. Number two, you're also building a little intrigue. All right. Say if at the end of the call, you want to set up another appointment where we do a deep dive strategy session, also for free, let's do that. And you set up a strategy session and you go through it and you build the dream with them. You find out where they are now, where they want to go. And then you get into a little bit more depth of what you had shown them on that 15, 20-minute call. Right.
Which is important too, because you're not taking full payment. So you also want to make sure you can help these people. So you, which I think is just the right thing to do, quite honestly. So you have your roadmap, you have your validation now. And I'm assuming if you don't get the validation, you go back to the drawing board until you do. But
right.
That's common sense. Hopefully that's common sense. Let me say that.
Right.
Then what? So we want to get to our first 6 figures and then scaling.
Right. So we want to get them going. So we want to get them to get 5 people into their founder circle, right? Who are now doing the work that you're teaching them to do. And they're taking what you've created with them and they're coaching their people. So you help them get there. But here's an important part. You do that to make sure you have proof of content now. Before you validated it, now you're doing it, you're getting proof of content. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And once you start getting that, now we help you. We make for you a 4-hour strategic philanthropic workshop. So you're like, what the hell does that mean? All right. So it's a 4-hour workshop where I pull back the curtain. If somebody wants to come to my workshop, they can, and see me show everything I do from beginning to end in 4 hours. And the money that's raised goes to a charity, right? Because when you do these 45-minute webinars, everybody signs up for them and nobody shows up because they're free. And they also know that you're not going to really tell them much and you're going to hold them with a little bit here and there. And you're, oh, come, get on a call with me and then I'll sell you the whole program. I tell you everything, what the program costs, everything, through the whole thing, the steps and everything through the 4 hours. And if you stay till the end, you get the recording. And you could go and do it on your own without me. But why a philanthropic workshop? Because people will come to pay to a workshop, but they'll pay and they'll show even more if the money is going to a charity. So I chose a charity that means something to me. It's a national charity. It's called Gift of Life, which helps people who need stem cells or bone marrow. Happened to be, I was a donor 5 or 6 years ago and I saved somebody's life. But there's a lot of cost involved in that. Yeah. So now they get all that and they're making a donation. So it's a double philanthropic. 1, they're making a donation. 2, I'm giving them the entire program to look at. Now they could go out and build it on their own at the end of it if they want.
That's awesome. That's incredible. I love that model too. So I'm curious, when you're in this, you're taking people through this model. What are the typical results from doing a couple of these workshops? How does it resonate with the audience and the potential attendees versus just doing those 45-minute free webinars that nobody shows up to?
Well, I'm going to be totally transparent with you because that's who I am. I did my first workshop 3 weeks ago. Okay. And today I happen to be doing my second workshop. Okay. And I'm just getting that started. I've been doing this program for about almost a year now. My first group of founders circles got started in December, January. Okay. And they're doing well. Thank God. But so my first workshop, I had 5 people attend. Okay. 5 people attended. All 5 asked for a call afterwards to go deeper.
I love that.
It's pretty good rate.
Yeah, 100% is pretty good. Yeah, I'll give you that. And it's because I assume you're not holding anything back. I think people can smell it. They can see right through it. What do you feel is the advantage? I don't know if you've had any of those calls yet, but what were they saying? What was the consensus of, I know you gave me all the information. I just really want that one-on-one support.
Right. That's the difference. Because all the information I gave, how many people go to webinars, go to workshops, even go to a weekend retreat with all the information, say, oh, this is great, I'm going to do it. And they do nothing with it. right? They go to Tony Robbins, and I bet 95% of the people there feel great afterwards. But how many of them really do the stuff that he teaches?
Yeah, very
And
few.
this is no, I love Tony Robbins. It's no, knock on Tony. Okay. What I'm saying is that you got to do the work that he teaches. It's the same thing here. You can watch the whole thing and do it on your own, but you've got to do the work to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the truth. We see that all the time, and people, it's human nature, right? It's not that there's anything wrong with you, or you're not capable of growing a business. It's human nature is without that accountability piece, you're not going to push yourself to do the work because it's hard and it takes a lot of effort at some points.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah, 100%. So what I say is, just real quick, is that, there's a couple other guarantees. Number one, there's going to be chaos. Things are going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Number two, if you don't give up on you, I don't give up on you. Right. And here's the other thing. You can believe in me and you can believe in my program. But if you don't believe in yourself, the rest doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. So that's where the mindset part has to come in. And every week we start off the call with me going through a part of my book or my card deck and say, let's pull out a card, let's talk about it and build our mindset.
Love it. Martin, this is awesome. If someone's interested in learning more and taking their business to that next level, where should they go to learn more about you?
They can go to connectwithmartin.com. And over there, you can get my book, you can get my workshop. I mean, you could get a link to my workshop. There's a whole bunch of things. There's a lot of free things there too. But most important thing is you could get a link to the workshop, pay $27, make a donation to the Gift of Life.
I love it. That's fantastic. All those links will be down below in the show notes wherever you're watching and listening. And Martin, I thank you for coming here today, but I'm just curious, you're on this path, you're helping people grow massive businesses. You're doing it in a completely different way than your industry is used to seeing. And first of all, I love that you're doing it that way. Thank you for that. I hope more people catch on and do it this way. What's your message for people who are at that sticking point in their business and they need to get beyond it? What would that one takeaway from this episode be for those people?
All right. You could go alone, but you can't grow alone.
That's good. I like that. It's the tagline of the episode. Martin, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
For those of you watching and listening, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you loved hearing a new way to do business, and think about that for your business too. What are some different ways to do business that maybe your industry thinks is standard, but you can't stand? Take all of Martin's advice from this episode and implement it into your business. We'll see you on the next episode of Harmonious at Lunch. Make sure you subscribe. See you tomorrow.